My beloved brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when everything seems to be falling apart. You try your best, you pray, you plan, you hope, but then suddenly something happens that you didn't expect. You lose a job, you get betrayed, someone you love walks away, or you fall into a hardship that you never saw coming. And in that moment, it's easy to feel broken. It's easy to feel like everything is against you. But I want you to know something very important. You are not alone in your struggle, and your hardship is not the end of your story. Allah reminds us in the Quran, perhaps you dislike something while it is good for you, and perhaps you love something while it is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. Surah Al-Baqarah 2216. Every one of us faces tests. That's the reality of life. And sometimes it feels like the world is full of negativity, like nothing good is happening. But the truth is, even in those dark moments, there is always something beautiful hidden. You just have to know how to find it. So today I want to share with you 7 powerful lessons on how to remain positive even when life becomes difficult. These are the lessons that helped me, and they can help you too if you hold them close to your heart. 1. Light exists even in the darkest room. When a person experiences pain, whether it's the loss of a loved one, the betrayal of someone they trusted, or the weight of constant stress and anxiety, their first reaction is often emotional. And this is perfectly normal. We are human beings. We feel sadness, frustration, helplessness, and sometimes even anger. It can feel like life has turned against us, like no matter where we look, things are just going wrong. It can feel as though a dark cloud has settled over everything, blocking out all hope and leaving us with nothing but questions and worries. But here's something very important to remember. Just because you don't see the light at this moment doesn't mean it isn't there. Darkness can be overwhelming, yes, but darkness is never stronger than light. Imagine for a moment that you are in a completely dark room. You can't see anything around you. You might feel fear. You might feel confused. But now imagine someone lights a small candle in the corner of that same room. What happens? Even though the candle is tiny, the darkness begins to fade. You can start to see your surroundings. The fear begins to lift. The candle hasn't removed all the darkness, but it has changed the way you feel in it. That candle represents hope. It represents faith. It represents trust in your Creator. Even when your life feels surrounded by darkness, even when you are emotionally exhausted and spiritually drained, that small flame still exists inside you. It may be dim, it may be weak, but it's still burning. And that's all it takes to begin your journey out of despair. Sometimes the light comes from remembering that Allah, the most merciful, is fully aware of what you're going through. He knows your sleepless nights, your silent cries, and your hidden battles. And He is closer to you than you realize. That awareness alone can be a source of light. Other times the light comes from within, from the part of you that refuses to give up, the part that chooses to keep moving forward, even when everything around you says, stop. And sometimes the light comes from someone else, a kind word, a gentle reminder, a sincere prayer made by a friend on your behalf. The key is to never forget that the light always exists. It might be covered by your pain right now. It might be hidden behind layers of fear, regret, or confusion, but it's not gone. And it can always grow brighter. You just have to protect it, feed it, give it space, and slowly it will guide you out of the dark. So the next time you feel like giving up, remember the candle. You may be in a room full of darkness, but the presence of even a small light means that the darkness does not win. And with the help of your Creator, that light can become the sunrise of a brand new beginning. 2. Your thoughts are powerful, so guard them well. One of the most important things to understand in life, especially during times of hardship, is the incredible power of your own thoughts. You see, your thoughts are not just passing ideas or random sentences floating through your mind. They are seeds. And like any seed, they grow. If you constantly plant seeds of fear, doubt, and hopelessness, what will grow inside you is anxiety, sadness, and a feeling that life will never get better. But if you choose to plant thoughts of faith, patience, and trust, then you begin to grow peace, courage, and hope, even in the middle of difficulty. The way you speak to yourself matters. The things you allow your mind to repeat to you every day, those become your reality. During a hard moment, it's very easy to fall into a habit of negative thinking. You might say to yourself, nothing good ever happens to me, or this situation will never improve, or I'm not strong enough to get through this. These thoughts may feel natural in the moment, especially when your heart is heavy. But just because they feel real doesn't mean they are true. And if you keep thinking that way, you will eventually believe it. And it will begin to shape how you see the world, how you see yourself, and even how you see your future. But the opposite is also true. If you begin to replace those thoughts with gentle reminders of truth, you will see how your heart begins to feel lighter. Instead of saying, I'm stuck and there's no way out, try saying, I don't see a way yet, but I trust that something good is coming. Instead of saying, I'm too weak, try saying, I've been through pain before and I made it through, so I know I can keep going. These may seem like small mental shifts, but they have a powerful effect. They remind your heart that the story isn't over. They teach your mind to focus on what's possible, not just what's painful. Think about it like this. Your mind is like a house. You are the one who chooses who gets to enter. If someone came to your door with harmful intentions, you would never let them in, right? Then why do we let harmful thoughts enter our minds so easily and let them stay for hours or even days? You have the right and the responsibility to protect the space inside your mind. That space should be filled with things that give you strength, not things that make you fall apart. Of course, this doesn't mean you can never feel sad or worried or overwhelmed. Those emotions are part of being human. But the goal is not to stay stuck in those emotions forever. The goal is to recognize them, understand them, and then guide your thoughts towards something more helpful, something more healing. And that starts with being aware of what you're thinking. Whenever you feel yourself slipping into negativity, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? If it's hurting you, replace it. Speak kindly to yourself, the way you would speak to someone you love, who is going through something hard. Because the truth is, you are also someone who deserves that kind of compassion. The words you say to yourself are like rain falling on a garden. If it's clean and nourishing, the garden will bloom. If it's toxic and harsh, the garden will wither. So guard your thoughts. Water your mind with encouragement, faith, and truth. With time, you will begin to see how your inner world transforms. And when your inner world transforms, your outer world slowly begins to change too. 3. Focus on what you can control, not what you cannot. One of the reasons many people feel overwhelmed, anxious, or emotionally stuck is because they spend most of their energy worrying about things that are completely outside of their control. They stress over what other people are saying, what other people are thinking, how others are behaving, or whether certain situations in their life will turn out the way they want. And slowly, without even realizing it, they become exhausted. Not just physically, but mentally and spiritually too. It's like carrying the weight of 100 things on your shoulders, even though most of them were never yours to carry in the first place. The truth is, no matter how much you care, you cannot control everything. You cannot control how someone else chooses to treat you. You cannot control whether a certain door in your life opens or stays closed. You cannot control every outcome, no matter how hard you try. And the more you try to hold on to what was never meant to be in your hands, the more frustrated and hopeless you begin to feel. But here's where peace begins, when you shift your focus from what you cannot control to what you can. Because even though you can't control everything around you, there are still so many things you do have power over. You can control your response to a difficult situation. You can control how much effort you put into something. You can control the kind of words you choose to speak. You can control whether you give up or keep going. These are your choices, and they matter more than you think. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean. You can't control the wind, you can't stop the waves, but you can adjust your sails. You can steer your direction. You can decide how you're going to move through the storm, and that decision can make all the difference between sinking and surviving. Many people wait for everything around them to become perfect before they allow themselves to feel peace. But perfection will never come. There will always be something uncertain, something difficult, something out of reach. And if you keep waiting for life to calm down before you start living, you may end up spending your whole life waiting. The better path is to start focusing on what's already in your hands. Even small efforts can lead to big changes when you make them consistently and sincerely. Sometimes we ask ourselves endless questions that have no clear answers. Why did this happen to me? Why didn't that opportunity work out? What if I had done things differently? But those questions often trap us in the past. Instead, try asking yourself questions that bring growth and clarity. Ask yourself, what can I do today to feel a little better? Or, what is one small step I can take to move forward? Or, what lesson can I learn from what I've just experienced? These are questions that open doors instead of closing them. They shift your mindset from helplessness to empowerment. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to take the next right step. And when you focus on what you can do, no matter how small it seems, you begin to feel more stable, more capable, and more in control of your journey. Also remember this, letting go of what you cannot control is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. It means you are choosing to protect your mental peace. It means you are trusting that there is a greater plan beyond what you can see. It means you are placing your effort where it actually makes a difference. So the next time you find yourself spiraling into fear, frustration, or sadness, pause and ask, is this something I can control? If yes, what can I do about it? And if not, how can I release it from my heart? This small habit can bring tremendous peace, because peace doesn't always come from fixing everything around you. Sometimes peace comes from letting go and choosing to focus on what you were meant to carry all along. Your effort, your choices, your actions, and your faith. 4. Gratitude is the medicine for a wounded heart. When life becomes heavy and the days feel overwhelming, the heart often begins to ache in ways that are hard to describe. You might feel like something is missing. You might feel tired, not just physically, but emotionally. You might feel like no one understands what you're going through. And during those times, one of the hardest things to do is to be grateful. Because gratitude feels unnatural when your heart is hurting. It feels difficult to say thank you when life seems unfair. But that is exactly when gratitude is most powerful. It is not meant to be used only when things are perfect. It is meant to carry you through when they are not. Gratitude is not about ignoring your pain or pretending everything is okay when it's not. It's about opening your heart just enough to see that even in the middle of struggle, there are still blessings all around you, and sometimes those blessings are not loud or obvious. Sometimes they are quiet, hidden in the small details of your day. A deep breath, a warm cup of tea, the sound of rain, a comforting message from a friend, a moment of stillness after a storm. These may seem small, but when your heart is tired, these are the gentle touches that begin the healing process. There's something beautiful that happens when a person learns to be grateful even in difficulty. Their entire mindset begins to shift. Instead of focusing only on what is missing, they begin to notice what is still there. Instead of repeating, why is this happening to me? They begin to whisper, I'm still here, and I still have reasons to keep going. This kind of gratitude is not surface level, it is deep. It is born through experience, it is born through hardship, and it gives you the strength to keep moving forward with patience and peace. Many people think that happiness comes first and gratitude follows, but it's actually the other way around. The more grateful you are, the more joy begins to grow inside you, and that joy is not dependent on your circumstances. It's rooted in your perspective. You may not have everything you want, but you begin to recognize the value of what you already have. And when your heart learns to treasure the little things, it becomes strong enough to face even the big things. Also remember, being grateful doesn't mean you're not allowed to feel sadness or disappointment. You can feel both at the same time. You can say, this situation is difficult, but I still thank God for giving me another day to try again. You can say, my heart is heavy, but I'm grateful for the strength to keep carrying it. Gratitude and sorrow can exist together, and when they do, they soften each other. They bring balance. They help you process your emotions with honesty, but also with hope. Sometimes we think that if we had more, we would be more grateful. But the truth is, if you're not grateful for what you have now, you may not appreciate what comes later. Gratitude is not about quantity, it's about awareness. It's about looking at your life with a heart that recognizes the quiet miracles that others may miss. And when you begin to live that way, your heart slowly starts to heal, even if your situation hasn't changed yet. So if your heart is wounded right now, if your soul feels tired and your eyes are filled with tears, try to pause just for a moment and think of one thing you are grateful for. Just one. And let that one small thought remind you that your story is not over, that there is still goodness in your life and there is still beauty in your journey. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a decision. It is a choice to remember the light, even when the shadows feel close. It is the medicine that reminds the heart, I still have something, I still have a reason to say thank you, and I still have hope. 5. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. When you are going through a difficult time, one of the most important things you can do for your heart and mind is to be careful about the company you keep. You may not realize it immediately, but the people you spend time with have a direct impact on the way you think, the way you feel, and even the way you speak to yourself. Their words, their mindset, their energy, it all begins to affect your own outlook on life, whether you notice it or not. If you constantly surround yourself with people who only complain, criticize, or speak with negativity, you'll eventually start absorbing those attitudes without even meaning to. You'll find yourself becoming more doubtful, more anxious, and more emotionally drained. Their heaviness becomes your heaviness. Their fear becomes your fear. Even their hopelessness begins to shape the way you view your own situation. On the other hand, if you spend time with people who speak with kindness, who think with wisdom, and who live with faith and patience, even if they are going through their own difficulties, you'll find that their strength begins to rub off on you, their calmness gives you peace, their encouragement gives you energy, and their presence reminds you that you're not alone and that there is always a way forward. This is why it's so important to be selective with who you allow into your inner circle, especially when your heart is in a fragile state. Not every friend is good for your healing. Not every conversation is worth your emotional space. Sometimes what you need most is not advice, not solutions, not even answers, but simply the company of someone who makes you feel safe, someone who listens without judgment, someone who reminds you gently and sincerely that better days are still ahead. We often underestimate the healing power of a good friend, a friend who speaks with calmness when your world feels chaotic, a friend who doesn't make you feel guilty for struggling, a friend who reminds you of your strengths when you've forgotten them. These are the kinds of people you want to keep close because they help you become your best self even when you're not feeling your best. But sometimes we find ourselves stuck in toxic environments, not just friendships, but family members, colleagues, or even online spaces that drain our peace. And in these situations, it's not always easy to walk away. But even if you can't change your environment completely, you can still make small decisions to protect your peace. You can limit certain conversations, you can set quiet boundaries, you can choose where you focus your attention and what energy you allow into your space. You also have the power to be that uplifting person for someone else. Your presence, your words, your sincerity, it might be exactly what someone else needs to keep going. When you treat others with warmth and compassion, that goodness often returns to you in unexpected ways. Being around positive people is important, but being a positive person yourself is just as powerful. And often when you are a light for others, you find that your own darkness begins to fade. So be intentional about the people you listen to. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel heavier or lighter? Drained or inspired? Peaceful or stressed? These are signs from your heart telling you what it needs more of and what it needs to stay away from. In difficult times, you need more than just noise. You need presence. You need sincerity. You need people who remind you of who you are, who bring you closer to peace and who walk with you without rushing you, without judging you, and without making you feel small for needing time to heal. Choose your company wisely, because the right people won't just change your mood, they can change your entire path. 6. Let your struggle build you, not break you. When we face hardships in life, whether it's the pain of loss, the weight of failure, or the pressure of uncertainty, it's easy to feel like we're falling apart. It's easy to believe that what we're going through is too much, too unfair, or too heavy to carry. In those moments, many people feel like their struggle is breaking them down, slowly removing their energy, their confidence, and even their sense of purpose. But what we often forget is this: the same struggle that feels like it's destroying you could actually be building you into something greater than you've ever imagined. Struggles are not always punishments. In fact, many times they are powerful opportunities for growth. Life is filled with hidden wisdom, and often the most painful experiences are the ones that shape our character in the deepest and most meaningful ways. Just like a muscle grows stronger after being stretched and challenged, the soul also grows stronger through hardship. if you allow it to. That's why some people go through difficulties and come out wiser, more patient and more understanding, while others go through the same challenges and come out bitter, angry and lost. The difference lies not in the pain, but in how they choose to respond to it. You have a choice. When life knocks you down, you can either stay down and allow that pain to define you, or you can get up, learn from it, and allow that pain to refine you. Struggles can teach you lessons that comfort never will. They can teach you what truly matters. They can open your eyes to your own inner strength. They can show you who really cares and who doesn't. And they can bring you closer to your Creator in a way that ease and success sometimes never do. Think about some of the strongest people you've ever met or heard about. Most of them didn't become strong because life was always easy for them. They became strong because they were tested, they were shaken, they were brought to their knees. But instead of giving up, they turned their pain into power. They let their wounds become wisdom. They allowed the struggle to polish their soul like a stone being shaped into a gem. Even in nature, we find this truth. A seed must go through darkness underground before it can grow into a tree. A caterpillar must break through its cocoon to become a butterfly. Even diamonds are made under extreme pressure. Nothing beautiful comes without struggle. And your journey is no different. You are being shaped by what you are facing. And though you may not see it now, there will come a day when you look back and say, that trial changed me. It made me stronger. It helped me grow. Of course, when you are in the middle of the pain, it's hard to see any purpose. You might be wondering, why me? Why now? Why this? Those are valid questions, but instead of allowing those questions to trap you in sadness, try asking yourself a new question. What is this difficulty trying to teach me? How can I come out of this better, not just bitter? That mindset changes everything. It doesn't remove the struggle, but it transforms your heart within the struggle. You begin to walk through the pain with dignity. You begin to face it with patience and grace. And with every step you grow, sometimes slowly, sometimes silently, but always meaningfully. And remember, you are never alone in your hardship. Even when no one else sees your tears, even when no one else understands what you're feeling, the one who created you is fully aware of every emotion, every prayer, and every effort you've made. He is watching your strength, your patience, and your quiet resilience. And nothing you go through is wasted. Every hardship that brings you closer to Him, every pain that makes you reflect more deeply, every moment of struggle that strengthens your character, these are not signs of failure, they are signs of progress. So don't let your struggle break your spirit. Let it shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than before. Let it clean your heart. Let it deepen your understanding of life. Let it remind you of what really matters. In the end, your struggle will not define you, but what you become because of it will. 7. Every struggle has a purpose, even if you can't see it yet. There are moments in life when things happen that you never expected. Moments that shake you, confuse you, and make you question everything. You might suddenly lose someone you love. You might get rejected from something you worked hard for. You might find yourself in a place where everything feels uncertain, and no matter how much you try to make sense of it, the answers just don't come. And during those times, one of the hardest thoughts to accept is that maybe, just maybe, this pain you're going through has a purpose. You see, when we experience something painful, our natural response is to ask why. Why did this happen to me? Why now? Why this way? Why didn't things go according to plan? And while it's human to wonder and to seek understanding, sometimes those questions don't bring peace. Because the answers are not always clear in the moment. And in many cases, we only begin to understand the meaning behind our trials long after they've passed. But just because you don't understand something right now doesn't mean it's meaningless. Just because you can't see the full picture doesn't mean there isn't one. Life is like a puzzle. When you're holding just one piece, it can look messy, confusing, or even pointless. But when you step back and see how that one piece connects with everything else, you begin to understand that it was necessary, that it belonged, that it was part of a bigger story. Every struggle you faced has played a role in shaping you into who you are today. The tears you cried, the losses you endured, the prayers you whispered late at night, none of that was wasted. Sometimes a hardship was sent to protect you from something far worse. Other times it was there to teach you something you never would have learned in ease. And sometimes the pain was meant to soften your heart, humble your ego, or bring you back to your faith in a way that nothing else could. We live in a world that often celebrates quick success, easy answers, and instant results. But real growth takes time. Real wisdom takes reflection. And real faith is built not during moments of comfort, but during moments of challenge. That's when you discover who you really are. That's when you realize what truly matters. And that's when you begin to understand that every trial carries within it a hidden gift, if you are patient enough to unwrap it. There may come a time when you look back on something that once broke your heart and realize it was the very thing that helped you grow. You may realize that the door that closed on you was not a rejection, it was a redirection. It was taking you somewhere better, even if you didn't know it yet. And maybe what felt like an ending was actually the beginning of something far more meaningful. This perspective doesn't remove the pain, but it helps you carry it differently. Instead of feeling like life is against you, you begin to see that maybe life is guiding you, that there's a plan unfolding, even if it's not clear yet. And that thought alone can bring you a quiet strength in the middle of your storm. Also, keep in mind that you don't always have to understand everything right now. It's okay to not have all the answers. What matters more is that you trust the process, that you continue doing your part, showing up, praying, trying, healing, and that you leave the rest in the hands of the one who sees the full picture. Because the truth is, some of your most painful chapters may lead to your most beautiful destinations. And the journey, no matter how rough, may be exactly what you need to become who you were always meant to be. So if you're hurting right now and you can't see the purpose yet, hold on. Don't give up. Your story is still unfolding and there is more to come. Something good could be waiting just around the corner, something you didn't plan, but something that was always meant for you. One day, you may look back on this moment and realize that everything you went through had meaning. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour, it was all part of a much greater plan. And that plan, even with all its twists and turns, is leading you somewhere better, step by step, moment by moment, even if you can't see it yet. My beloved brothers and sisters, I know that life can be difficult. I know that sometimes the pain feels never ending. You try your best and still things fall apart. You pray and it feels like the silence is louder than the answers. You hold back your tears in front of people, but deep down, your heart is crying. You wonder, why is this happening to me? And you begin to question your strength, your direction, and even your worth. But I want you to pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Because the truth is, you are not forgotten, you are not invisible, and you are certainly not alone. What you're going through right now is not a punishment, it is a part of your journey. It is a chapter in your book. And just because it's painful does not mean it has no purpose. In fact, it might be doing something far greater than you can see at this moment. It might be preparing you for something beautiful. Remember what we've learned. Even when life feels dark, there is always a light somewhere. It may be small, but it still shines. That light is your faith. That light is your hope. That light is your ability to believe that something better is still possible. Even when everything looks broken, protect that light. Feed it with gratitude. Surround it with people who remind you of peace. And choose every day to focus not on what you've lost, but on what you still have. Guard your thoughts because they are powerful. Speak to yourself with kindness. Remind yourself that this is not the end, but a moment of growth. Let go of the things you cannot control and focus on the small steps that are still within your reach. Don't carry what was never yours to carry. You were never meant to fix the entire world. You were only meant to stay sincere in your efforts and trust that the path will unfold in time. Allow your pain to teach you, not break you. Let it shape your heart into something softer, wiser, and more compassionate. And even if the answers don't come quickly, don't lose your faith. Because every struggle, even the one you're going through right now, has a meaning. You may not understand it yet, but someday you might. And even if you never do, know this: you are growing through what you are going through. The one who created you has not left you. He sees your quiet patience. He knows your silent efforts. He hears the prayers that never made it past your lips. And even if it takes time, you will heal. you will rise, and you will look back and realize that this difficulty shaped you into someone stronger than before. So please keep going, keep walking, keep trusting. This chapter may be heavy, but the story is not over. Light will return, peace will return, and you will come out of this, not the same, but better, wiser, and more grounded than ever before. Until then, take care of your soul, speak gently to your heart, and never forget, no storm lasts forever. The sun will rise again.